Everybody, Kings, Camo, we're talking today. This is Kendall with BlackOvis. And I just got back from an elk hunt in Idaho. I'm going back again this weekend because I wasn't so successful. But I wanted to go over the entire kit, the first time I've ever hunted head to toe in Kings. And I wanted to go over this kit, why I chose each item, a few details on each piece, and tell you a little bit about Kings. So a couple things that I would, well, first off, as my first impressions, very pleased actually overall. There were certainly some things I would nitpick. I'm 6'4", 195, I've got long arms. There were a couple of complaints that I had about the length of the arms. In fact, my friend Jed runs Kings, he's a CEO over there. He's taller than I am, long arms like me, and I'm a little surprised, quite frankly, that the sleeve length on a couple of these pieces wasn't what I was hoping for. But overall, quite honestly, without getting too much into the weeds, the Kings Camo is super impressive, and they make a really good gear. This is the XKG line. If you're not familiar with Kings, they have two different lines, the Hunter series and the XKG. XKG is their pinnacle of the best performance products, the best performing materials, and so you'll hear some of that mentioned within this video. Also, if you just as a baseline, Kings offers their product in layering systems. So when I refer to each one of these pieces, when you look at the Kings items, you'll see L1 to L5. L1, of course, is the base layer, L2, L3, L4, and then L5 would be that external layer if you were going to have your entire system on. So most of these items are L1 or 2, but I've got some L3 and some L5 in this kit that I chose. I was hunting in Idaho. Middle of the season, temperatures were in those upper, let's say low 30s to probably upper 50s, low 60s. So I had a little bit of everything. Didn't really have much precipitation, a little bit, and then some wind and a little bit of frost in the morning. So let's dive right in. This entire kit, this my elk hunting kit for this year, if you were to buy it full retail, everything I'm going to talk about today is $1,165. So in my opinion, I think that's a really fair starting point. If you're getting into some higher performing products and you want to match so you can go to the prom and everyone recognizes you look good, then the Kings Camo is a really affordable and very high performing kit for you to build. So let's dive right in. Starting on the base side, I ran the Kings Foundation 150 Merino bottom. This is an L1 item. It's a 17.5 micron, so a finer micron. It is soft. It's got a combination of merino and nylon, so it's 90 merino, 10% nylon. The Foundation Merino bottom was exceptionally soft for my long, basically a 34 inseam. I wear the size, I think it was a large, yep, size large. I did wash it, and I actually just threw it through the dryer. I didn't, most of the merino bottoms I just throw through the dryer. The tops I don't. Totally came out fine. Fits great, very soft. Wore it in the mornings. I wore it in camp, sleeping. That was kind of my evening sleep, pajama thing. But the merino bottom, fantastic piece. Toss that one to the side. Next on the bottom was the Draft Pant. They have really actually a pretty good series. They have the Preacher Pant, the Sonora Pant, which I wear casually just day in, day out. It's a very lightweight pant. I went with the Draft Pant because couple reasons. Number one, it's a little more trim fit. I don't really love the traditional straight leg kind of bell bottom style. Couple other features I liked. It's got a good poly stretch woven material on the back of the waistline. They've got that kind of that grippy stuff that makes it so your shirt stays tucked in, the pants stay on the top side. One thing about anything that's not merino in this kit that I chose is they utilize the Polygene coating. So the Polygene is a coating that Sitka probably was the first company I saw in the hunting industry that utilized it. It comes out of the medical industry, and its entire purpose is to coat fabric and to eliminate the bacteria from growing, which on the medical side is super important, but on the hunting side is ultra important for minimizing the amount of smell. So this also has the Polygene treatment to it. The 4-way stretch is fantastic. I did think that the waist, so I'm a 34 tall. The waist on this says 34. It was a little, just ran just a little bit big, so definitely needed a belt. Through the thighs, it was just a smidge tight. I don't think I have ginormous thighs, but it was a little snug. However, day 2, day 3, day 4, it is certainly stretched out. So I assume that next time I wear them, which will be this weekend, after I wash, it may go a little tighter. So just a tip for you, if you do try them on and they are a little snug, remember that I experienced that it would stretch over time. With the best feature, they do a reinforced bottom on the kick plate on the back of the leg. But the feature that I loved the most was the vent on each side. They do run mesh inside the vent. Some brands are opting for not running mesh, but I did like the mesh. I don't know if I favor one. You certainly recognize that when you don't have the mesh, you can get more airflow. So not giant airflow, but I did utilize it all the time throughout the 4 days we were hunting. The cargo pockets, because of the mesh being on that side, are shifted more to the center, and they have a quiet plastic snap button. And I was running most of my elk calls, my diaphragm calls were in this pocket, and I mean it was quiet enough that it wasn't an annoyance or anything. I know if you've hunted elk or anything like that, as you're trying to be quiet, snaps are almost contraband. The pocket does have a little bit of a baffle to it, so you can increase the size of the stuff you're putting inside. So draft pant overall, if I was writing a review out of 5 stars, I'd probably get a 4-star. Only because I think the fit wasn't ideal for my body shape, but really a solid pant, and I would highly recommend it. Love that pant. On the top for the base side, I ran 2 different base layers, and I'll tell you a little bit why. I ran the Merino quarter zip foundation 150, same thing as the bottom, obviously in camo. Nice quarter zip. I don't really love quarter zips, but a lot of guys do. I'm more of a hooded guy, or I like to run a hood as my base layer. What I did run was just a Merino t-shirt underneath that. So, so I basically had 2 layers of Merino. Again, 17.5 microns, 150 gram weight, very soft, extremely soft, quite frankly. And I was really surprised at the quality of the King's Merino since I hadn't tried it before. And it can stand up to any other Merino. Whether it's our BlackOvis stuff, the new Sitka Merino, which I've hunted and tried in, Kuiu, First Light, I've tried them all, and I'd say the King's is right there. The fit on the Merino was really good. On the Merino piece, just as a mention, instead of like most of the product I own is just a square bottom, this one has a tapered tail, or not a tapered tail, or a tail that's extended or longer. And it is quite nice, man. And honestly, if you're tucking that in, particularly with the draft pant, it's going to stay in, and you've got a little bit extra length to work with as you move. It's not going to come untucked. So kind of a cool piece. I ran that a couple of the days, and it's as you know, Merino has a fantastic odor prevention and odor maintenance built into the fabric, so it doesn't need an additional treatment. The other piece that I ran it as a top against my base layer, and I would run this because it was cooler. If it was warmer, I would certainly run this just solo. I ran that Merino t-shirt underneath this, but this is the transition. No, excuse me. This is the elevation hoodie. This is an L2 within their series of L1 through 5. This is a really good piece. I actually quite liked it. It's a hood, which I favor. I run that over the ball cap. Again, it's got an extended back. It's a synthetic material, so it's got a lot of stretch, polygene treated, 2-way stretch. I would actually call it a 4-way stretch, because quite frankly, it felt like it stretched in all directions. Highly breathable, dries really fast. I did notice, and we were just going through regular brush, jumping over dead trees, typical elk hunting stuff. I did notice I've got like where it kind of picked on the chest. I've got one on the sleeve. 4 or 3 days of use, pretty heavy use. I'd say it's common. I wouldn't necessarily say it just happens with synthetics. Oftentimes you'll catch it on a limb and you'll get that coming out. So the elevation hoodie, it's an L2. Really like that. Again, that's polygene treated. After wearing it for 3 days, I did notice certainly had a little bit more odor than I would find in a Merino, which is why I went to the Merino on one of those days and to let this air out for a day. But I quite liked it. And the hood size, I think, is a little less athletic, if I could say. than what I found in the Sitka Core lightweight hoodie, which is kind of my go-to. So kind of a generous, comfortable hood on that piece. The next layer up, super surprised in this piece, and I really liked it. This is the Covert Hoodie. It's considered an L2. And this is not your normal like heavyweight hoodie, let's say. The face of it is almost like it feels like cottony, but it's not cotton. It's a synthetic, but it's brushed in a way that's super soft, extraordinarily quiet. Does have a little extended on the back of it. This is also polygiene treated. It's got a couple pockets. It's got a chest pocket here, obviously the quarter zip. It does have hand pockets, and when I first got it, I thought, I've never owned a piece that I've hunted actively in that's a heavyweight, more of a heavyweight. Even though they call this an L2, I would say this is a heavier weight material. But I found myself using those hand hooded pockets. It's like this is a pass-through pocket. Those are individual pockets on here. Really quite liked it. Wore it a ton because it was cold and chilly, and I loved it. I did not use the integrated face mask. For some reason or not, I just never got around to utilizing it. My one critique of this piece, again, maybe I've got a big melon, but I found that the hood was a little on the small side. I would like to see a little more extension of the material on the neck. It's paneled, so you've got 5 different panels on this guy, and maybe they could consider extending that just so you have a little more coverage and range and free movement. But overall, very surprised in the Covert Hoodie. L2, and definitely going to be something I'm going to go to. And if I had that in solid, I would probably wear it just casually on a regular basis. Next piece that I really loved, this was, and I talked to Brad at King's, and he gave me some insight. We kind of went back and forth as I was consulting with him and asking him what he thought would be good. But I ended up with the Transition Flex jacket. They have a couple of jackets. This is an L3 layer, so we're bumping up to that 3rd layer. This is filled with thermalite, which is a really good insulator. It doesn't necessarily break down or travel. The loft is good. It's DWR treated. It's a very soft. It's not noisy like a hard nylon puffy might be. I was stoked on this jacket, even though it didn't pack as well. Now, we were hunting at a base camp, and I knew that we might spike out and go in a little deeper. Even so, I preferred the fill over this. It's a little heavier than the jacket that I first was picking out. I love the hood. I think the hood is essential. It's a really good fitting hood. And this jacket ended up being one of those pieces that, again, I'll wear this quite often. This is going to be part of my ongoing kit, regardless if it matches with other camos or solids or brands. But definitely going to be using this on a rifle cow hunt that I've got coming up, and antelope hunt. But fit was great. This ended up being, I think, a size large. Let's see, extra large. I went with the extra large. I tried the large, it was trim. King's camo as a whole, I think, fits a little more generous than more of your athletic style that you might see in Kuiu and Sitka. But man, can't say enough about this red jacket. Again, thermalite. The one piece I wanted to make sure, they did some body mapping in this jacket. So you've got 130 grams per square meter fill in the body, but in the sleeves, it's a little less at 100 grams square meter. So it is, I didn't notice it, quite frankly. I didn't know it until I was doing a little research on the build of this product. But now that I know that, I can kind of feel that this is a little lighter, obviously to increase movement and just have a better performance out of that. The last piece that I took and used from the King's lineup is this, the Paramount 3L waterproof breathable jacket. As it says in the name, 3L means 3 layers. This is, it's fully seam taped. It's a solid rain jacket. Like, I feel like I could take on the elements of the North Sea with this jacket on. It is beefy. Uses a YKK AquaGuard zipper on the front. It's got hand pockets, also utilizing that same zipper. No chest pocket. It's got this little flap, storm flap on the upper. I'm not really sure. It didn't make any difference for me. Very, very good fit. Adjustable on the hood, adjustable on the hem. Arm length was super adequate. It's got a little bit of a differed fit on the arm, so you're going to have more coverage on the top of the hand than you are on the bottom. But the Paramount jacket was super surprising. It is bomber. Not certainly as packable as others that exist in the market, but I don't think that was their intention. I think their intention was to build a jacket that was extremely bomb-proof. If I had the matching pants to this, I think you could take on any storm, anytime, anywhere. Zero lack of confidence, 100% confidence in this jacket to perform. And we had a pretty gnarly rainstorm one evening, and this was ideal. So as an overall review, the King's Camo lineup is fantastic. I can definitely highly recommend it based on my personal experience. But again, this entire kit, everything we've gone over today, is all available at BlackOvis. You're looking at around just shy of $1,200, probably with sales tax, depending on what state you live in. You're going to be right around $1,200. So I think for a value proposition as well as a high performance, this is a great place to start, and it was excellent on my elk hunt. So hopefully this has been helpful in giving you an overview of a kit from a brand that is highly reputable, that we really enjoy working with, and you can kind of know what pieces may fit into your existing kit, or what you might want, where you might want to start if you're in that September elk hunting season, and you're looking to cover yourself in really good quality gear. So I appreciate you checking in, appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you have comments, leave those below, or questions, happy to answer those, or give our guys a call and we can answer any questions you have.